A very warm welcome to all the learners in the MOOC of Energy Resources and Conversion Processes. I am Dr. Shweta Tripathi, Assistant Professor in Mechanical Engineering, School of Engineering and Technology, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. In this module, we are going to discuss fuel cells. The learning outcomes of this particular module is to know the working principle of fuel cells, classification of various fuel cells, advantages and limitations of these fuel cells and their applications. As we have discussed the other renewable energy sources, and in this module we are going to discuss fuel cells as a renewable energy source. Basically, this fuel cell is an electrochemical device which converts hydrogen and oxygen into water, producing electricity and heat in the process. So basically, there is the conversion process in these devices of electrochemical type, that is, the chemical energy of hydrogen and oxygen is converted into electricity or heat. It is much like a battery that can be recharged while we are drawing power from it. It provides generally a DC voltage that can be used to power motors, lights, and any number of electrical appliances. Generally, impure hydrogen is obtained from hydrocarbon fuels such as natural gas, methane, LPG, and liquid petroleum products, and they can be used in fuel cell as a fuel. Many efforts are going on to develop cells that use carbon monoxide as the fuel. If they are successful, it could be possible to utilize coal as the primary energy source for these fuel cells. Now, the question is that why do we need fuel cell? So the answer is same, that there is energy crisis all over the world, and to overcome this energy crisis we need different renewable energy sources, and fuel cell is one of them. Due to the use of this conventional fuel, the issue of global warming is alarming. So we need fuel cells to overcome this issue also. As we know that the different renewable energy sources are unavailable at each and every place due to the geographic condition, and these fuel cells could be available at each geographic location, so we need fuel cells. One important reason to develop these fuel cells is to provide an alternate, efficient, non-polluting power source that produces no noise and has no moving parts. Since there will be no moving part, the maintenance will be easy. And it is expected by 2050 the global energy demand is going to rise by 2 to 3 times. So to achieve this global energy demand, to fulfill this global energy demand, we need various renewable energy sources, and so do we need fuel cells as well. Now, what is the working principle of the fuel cell? The basic principle of all the fuel cell is almost same. What happens? The core of each fuel cell consists of an electrolyte and 2 electrodes. The 2 electrodes are obviously cathode and anode. At negative electrode, that is anode, a fuel such as hydrogen is being oxidized, while at the positive electrode, that is cathode, oxygen is produced. So basically, oxidation and reduction, both processes are there. And what happens? These ions are transported through the electrolyte from one side to the another. This is the basic principle behind the fuel cell. If we talk about the chemistry of these fuel cells, what happens at anode? The hydrogen takes 4 electrons and at cathode the oxygen is reduced, and this 4 electron, it reacts with the 4 electrons that were given at anode by hydrogen, and it forms water. So the net reaction is hydrogen plus oxygen gives water. So at anode the hydrogen is being oxidized, and if we balance it, then 2H2 will give 4H plus ions plus 4 electrons, and at cathode what will happen, the oxygen plus these 4 hydrogen atoms plus 4 electrons will give 2 moles of water. Then let us classify these fuel cells. It is very difficult to classify these fuel cells because the several operational variables exist. For example, there are the various temperature range at which they operate. So on the basis of the temperature range, they are classified as low temperature, medium temperature, and high temperature and very high temperature. So for low temperature 25 to 100 degrees centigrade, medium temperature 100 to 500 degrees centigrade, high temperature 500 to 1000, and very high temperature above 1000. So according to the type of electrolyte also we can classify them. We could use aqueous solution for the electrolyte, non-aqueous solution for the electrolyte, or molten or solid electrolyte. So according to this, the fuel cells are aqueous fuel cells, non-aqueous fuel cells, molten or solid fuel cells. Then according to the physical state of the fuel that is used. For example, if we are using fuel, hydrogen or lower hydrocarbons, in gaseous form it is a gas fuel cell. If we are using liquids such as alcohols, hydrazine, higher hydrocarbons, then it is liquid fuel cells. Then of course there are solid fuel cells as well, where we use metals. Then comes the classification as a primary fuel cell or secondary fuel cell. In primary fuel cell, reactants are passed through the cell only once, and the products of the reaction being discarded. Generally it is hydrogen oxygen fuel cell, which is very common. We will discuss this fuel cell later. Then comes the secondary fuel cell. In this secondary fuel cell, reactants are passed through the cell many times because they are generated by different methods. Nitric oxide, chlorine fuel cell is example of secondary fuel cell. Then there is the classification based on the types of fuel used. Sometimes we use hydrogen fuel, so it is hydrogen fuel cell. When we use fossil fuel, it is fossil fuel cell. When we use ammonia as a fuel, it is ammonia fuel cell, and when we use hydrazine fuel, it is hydrazine fuel cell. Most common used fuel cells are polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cell, phosphoric acid fuel cell, alkaline fuel cell, solid oxide fuel cell, methanol or ethanol fuel cell, biofuel cell, and hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Let us discuss these fuel cells one by one. So first is polymer electrolyte membrane fuel cell. We call it PEM as well. These are low temperature fuel cells, and the fuel cells of this type have higher power density and can be easily started up and stopped at low temperatures ranging from -35 to 40 degrees Celsius. These fuel cells are suitable for application in light and heavy duty vehicles. The low temperature PEM fuel cell requires high purity of hydrogen, whereas the high temperature fuel cells operate at higher temperature, that is around 120 degrees Celsius, and does not require very pure hydrogen. Many companies have commercialized low temperature PEM fuel cells but high temperature PEM fuel cells are still under development. In India, many organizations like Center for Fuel Cell Technology, International Advanced Research Center for Powder Metallurgy, Hyderabad, Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, Thiruvananthapuram, BHEL, Hyderabad, Thermax Limited, Pune. These all are engaged in complete development of PEM fuel cells system, including stack and system developments. Despite the support from the ministry for around 2 decades, the development of fuel cell system is not reached to the stage due to the reasons like lack of engineering input, lack of infrastructure for producing the systems in large numbers for trials or demonstrations, and the reliance on pressurized bottle hydrogen procured at high cost. These are the reasons why this type of fuel cell is not reached at the stage where it should be commercially available. Then comes the phosphoric acid fuel cell. The phosphoric acid fuel cell, or we call it PAFC, have developed and commercialized with modules in the range of 100 to 400 kW for stationary power generation applications. It operates on propane or LPG or CNG gases with a lifetime of more than 45,000 hours. It can tolerate fuel with less than 2% of carbon monoxide. BHEL imported, installed and operated a 200 kW phosphoric acid fuel cell unit with LPG as fuel, and at later stage BHEL developed and demonstrated 50 kW phosphoric acid fuel cell system using hydrogen from the chlor-alkali industries. The Naval Material Research Laboratory, Ambernath, also developed such systems of 1 to 15 kW capacity and demonstrated successfully for the field applications. Then comes the alkaline fuel cell. These are generally the low-cost technology because of its components are made from inexpensive materials. Initially they were used in space rockets, but now these fuel cells are not in use because of their inherent problems which have not been overcome till date. However, if further developments takes place, these can be deployed in various other applications such as telecommunication towers, scooters, auto rickshaws, cars, boats, household inverters, etc. Then comes the solid oxide fuel cell. The solid oxide fuel cell are multi-fuel compliant like gasoline, alcohol, natural gas, biogas, etc. The fuels are reformed internally to produce hydrogen, and the solid oxide fuel cell have been developed in 2 different designs. One is tubular and another is planar types. These systems have been developed in the power range 250 to 300 watts, operating on propane, butane and LPG, and they are more popular in the countries like USA, Canada, Germany, UK, Denmark, Australia, Japan, etc. Tubular type of solid oxide fuel cell of 100 kW capacity and planar configuration up to 25 kW capacity have been developed. If we talk about India, the CSIR CGCRI Kolkata has recently demonstrated a 1000 watt anode supported stack with planar configuration. Another major effort in development of the 3rd generation technology, that is metal supported solid oxide fuel cell, has been underway by NFTDC Hyderabad in collaboration with University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. Then comes the ethanol fuel cell. Direct ethanol fuel cell uses methanol or ethanol to generate power less than 100 watt. These fuel cells may be deployed in the devices with low power consumption like computerized notebooks, mobile phones, military equipment, and such other electronic devices. This type of fuel cell face problems of incomplete oxidation of ethanol to produce hydrogen gas. The researchers are trying to find suitable solution. The electronic companies such as Samsung, Toshiba and other companies developed such fuel cells. In our country, some academic institutions, universities, engineering colleges are also trying to get solution of the problems that are inherited with these types of fuel cells. Then comes the biofuel cell. These are basically the biological fuel cells. They are generally of two types. One is the microbial fuel cells, which employ living cells such as microorganisms as the catalyst. And the second one is the enzymatic biofuel cells, which use different enzymes to catalyze the redox reactions of the fuels. The production or consumption cycle of biofuels is considered to be carbon neutral and in principle more sustainable than that of conventional fuel cells. The potential areas for its power application are portable electronics, biomedical instruments, environmental studies, military and space research, etc. In India, many institutions are active to develop suitable electrodes materials or treat the microorganism. Mediatorless and membraneless microbial fuel cells have been demonstrated on laboratory scale as well. Then comes the hydrogen oxygen cells. This is the most interesting cells for the near future, and these are the modified hydrogen oxygen cells in which a gaseous or liquid hydrocarbon is the source of hydrogen. Coal may be served as the primary energy source for these fuel cells. Cells based on fossil fuels have three main components: fuel processor, which converts the fossil fuel into hydrogen-rich gas, and the power section consisting of the actual fuel cell or combination of cells, and the inverter for changing the direct current generated by the fuel cell into the alternating current to be transmitted to user. If we talk about the hydrogen oxygen fuel cells, 40% of potassium hydroxide solution as electrolyte or ion exchange membrane is used. The membrane is non-permeable to the reactant gases, hydrogen and oxygen, and it thus prevents them from coming into contact. Membrane is, however, permeable to hydrogen ions, which are the current carriers in the electrolyte. The desired properties of an ideal ion exchange membrane electrolyte are high ionic conductivity, zero electronic conductivity, low permeability of fuel and oxidant, low degree of electroosmosis, high resistance to dehydration, and high resistance to its oxidation or hydrolysis, and high mechanical stability. Then comes the ammonia fuel cell. In this, the ammonia gas obtained from the stored liquid is decomposed catalytically into hydrogen and nitrogen. The part of hydrogen is burned in air to provide the heat required for the decomposition. Other hydrogen or leftover hydrogen is supplied to the negative electrode of the hydrogen cell, in which potassium hydroxide is used as electrolyte. The nitrogen produced due to decomposition is an inert gas and plays no role in the cell. The advantage of ammonia as fuel cell is that it can be stored in the liquid form. The disadvantage of this kind of fuel cells include high vapor pressure and cell operate satisfactory at low temperature. Then comes the compact fuel cell. The compact fuel cells are generally used for the mobile application, possibly for vehicle propulsion. It utilizes the liquid hydrogen as a fuel and hydrogen peroxide or air as the energy source. Hydrogen is injected as required into the aqueous potassium hydroxide electrolyte to provide the active material at the negative electrode. The oxygen is either supplied by decomposition or from air. The electrode is made up of nickel, that is the negative electrode, or silver, that is positive electrode, as the electrochemical catalyst. The overall cell reaction is the oxidation of hydrogen to water and nitrogen, but the discharged electromotive force is similar to that of the hydrogen oxygen cell that we have discussed. Then comes the regenerative fuel cell. The regenerative fuel cell is one in which the fuel cell product, that is water, is recovered into the reactants, that is hydrogen and oxygen, by one of the several possible methods, either thermal, chemical, photochemical, electrical and radiochemical. There are two stages in a regenerative fuel cell. One is conversion of fuel cell reactants into products while producing electrical energy, and the other stage is reconversion of this fuel cell product into reactants. Generally, this fuel cell product is water. Then what are the advantages of these fuel cells? As we know that these fuel cells are eco-friendly, the conversion efficiency of these fuel cells is very high. The emission is extremely low, or we can say that there is no emission at all. Noiseless operation because there are no moving parts, and therefore they are readily accepted in residential areas also. Availability to use at any location, less transmission and distribution losses are there. There is no requirement of cooling towers, etc., as we were requiring them in conventional plants. They require less space as compared to the other power plants. Then the limitations. One of the major limitations for these fuel cells is their higher initial cost. The service life of these fuel cells is also very low. The fueling fuel cells is still a major problem since the production, transportation, distribution and storage of hydrogen is very difficult. The technology is not yet fully developed and few products are available only. The fuel cells are currently very expensive to produce since most units are handmade. Then comes the applications. The application of fuel cells are in the areas of domestic power, central power station, automotive vehicles, and some special applications are also there. If we talk about the distributed generation, fuel cells offer convenient solution for standalone power in off-grid and power deficit areas. They don't require much space and produce continuous reliable power. These fuel cells are modular and the capacities can be extended easily by adding more stacks. They can operate continuously to meet base load power needs. Backup power requirements in India are addressed mostly with the use of diesel generators. These diesel generators involve a lower capital outlay upfront but have to be maintained and serviced multiple times during their lifetime. And in addition to that, the harmful environmental effects of using diesel and the imminent price escalation and the total life cycle cost. Specific areas where fuel cells are already being implemented as backdrop sources include telecom tower sites. Trucks. One of the biggest upsides of the fuel cell technology is that it has the potential to replace traditional methods of powering automobiles. Indeed, Tata Motors have launched a pilot bus with support from the Government of India's Department of Science and Industrial Research under the Technology Department and Demonstration Program. The maximum speed of the bus is 70 km/h and grade ability is 17%, which is very suitable for city application. If we talk about the ongoing projects in India on fuel cell, the polymer modified metal matrix nanocomposite catalyst, the performance screening in alkaline medium is going on in IIEST Shibpur, Howrah, West Bengal. Development of bioelectrodes for biofuel cell is also undergoing at IIT Guwahati. Titanium nanotubes as an alternative catalyst support for the direct methanol fuel cell is going on at IIT Madras. Development of platinum-free hybrid electrocatalyst based on nanostructured metal particles and graphene for fuel cell applications is going on at IMMT Bhubaneswar. If we talk about the achievements, an indigenous base for research and industrial production being established, R&D projects are leading to technology, process and material development. The prototype of PEM fuel cells and PA fuel cells are developed. The application of fuel cells demonstrated for decentralized power generation. A fuel cell battery hybrid van has been developed in the country. 3 kW capacity UPS based on PEMFC developed, and reformer for a 10 kW PEM fuel cell system is developed and tested. Now let us summarize whatever we have discussed. We have discussed that the fuel cell is an electrochemical energy conversion device. It converts the chemicals hydrogen and oxygen into water. Hence, it is a device that generates electricity by a chemical reaction. We have discussed several types of fuel cells. Every fuel cell has two electrodes, one positive and one negative, known as cathode and anode respectively. The reactions that produce electricity takes place at the electrodes. Electrolyte is also there. We have discussed the various types of the fuel cells. We have discussed the relative advantages and disadvantages of the fuel cells. We have discussed the current projects that are going on in India for the development of these fuel cells. We have also discussed that up to which milestone we have achieved or where we are. The achievements, our achievements for these fuel cells are also discussed. We have also discussed the applications of these fuel cells in various sectors. Thank you very much.